No, stop it now. Stop showing off, Grandia. Stop it. No, stop it. This is a gratuitous overuse of 1997 3D modelling, thank you very much. Now this is a good use of 3D graphics. Oh yeah, you great big turtle. Everybody's thinking about me, but I feel alright. Everybody's out again. Oh, hello, bozos. Didn't see you there. It's me, Jim Sterling from Videos, and today we are talking about Grandia HD Collection, because that come out recently, didn't it? Yes, it did, a few days ago. It's come out on machines that play video games. You can spend money to buy this, and you'll get the first Grandia in it, you'll get the second Grandia in it, and that's plenty of Grandia to be getting on with. It's been given a bit of a visual lick of paint just to, well, basically just to, make it HD, just to justify being able to write the letters HD on the cover art. And that's not to say that the game doesn't hold up, because it holds up very, very well. Now, I'm going to be focusing on the first Grandia here. Picked up some weak weed, story of my life. We're going to focus on the first Grandia here because, first of all, everyone focuses most, or certainly I've seen everyone talk more about Grandia 2. So we're talking about the first Grandia in what must be another act of professional self-sabotage on my part. Talk about the one people, certainly the one I've seen fewer people, I should say, talk about. But there is a reason for that, beyond my usual professional self-sabotage, and that is because I've got a bit of an history with the first Grandia. And when I say a bit of a history, I mean not enough history with it. Because it's a game that I've always started. I'll start playing Grandia any day of the week. Will I get very far in it? No. It's nothing the game's done. It's no issue I have with the game. It's a simple case of I get distracted and move towards something shiny like a magpie would, and then I just forget about it. So I keep starting the game, but never finishing the game, or even getting that far into the game. And this time, before I touch Grandia 2, I'm getting through this bloody thing. So that's the state of affairs right now. That said, making good progress this time. I must be 12, 13 hours, I think, into the game. So I would say that I've topped my previous record by about half a day, which is really cool. I mean, posting about spending half a day doing anything isn't all that cool. But, half a day playing Grandia, it's not a bad day spent, considering otherwise I'd just be sat in a corner in my pants, flicking little balls of poo, but then I got a horrible mental image about me actually doing that. Let's not do that. Let's not sit in the corner in our underpants flicking balls of poo, everyone. Let's talk about Grandia. The game really holds up. Holds up really well. It's got a unique combat system that I don't think many JRPGs have ever copied. Even though it's a really good take on the idea of a turn-based or an active time battle system. Basically, you have the little meter in the bottom corner there, which shows you when you and the enemies are about to attack. You see the icons moving towards the action area of the bar, and even that tells you how long it takes for you to pull off a move. And you can use different types of attacks to stall the enemy, to pause their progress on the bar, and if you do it at the right time, which I sometimes do, you can cancel their attacks altogether, which is a very satisfying thing indeed. Seeing them charge up an attack and then just stopping it because you've hit them in time. It's very fun. There's lots of tactics to play around with, but it's really simple as well. It looks like it's complex, and that's because there is quite a bit of depth to it, but it's so intuitive that once you've tried everything once, that's all you really need to do. You don't really forget how to do anything after that. It really is just down to timing more than anything else, which again, I sometimes get right. But it's great fun, lots of special attacks, lots of magical abilities that come along. And if you like leveling up, oh, don't you bloody worry. Grandia's got you more than covered, mate. Everything levels up in this game. Characters level up, obviously. Every individual move levels up. Your ability with various elemental magic levels up by element. If you use fire spells all the time, then your fire ability will go up. A bit like, something like the Elder Scrolls, like Skyrim or something like that. Weapons level up. Oh, you thought weapons might not level up? well, you're a bit of an idiot, aren't you? Various characters can equip various weapons, and they will level up with use. You know, Justin, the main character here, can equip, swords, axes, maces, and you can choose to focus on just one weapon type, or you can mix and match it to be more well-rounded. I was focusing mostly on just weapons, like individual weapons for each character, but then decided I'll just keep upgrading weapons as they come and become more well-rounded. So there we go, that's all fun. So lots to level up, and different combinations of things can level stuff up as well. Like if you, like Fina here, she can equip whips, and starts with the fire ability, and if you level up fire and whips, then you might unlock something like Flame Whip. I think that's how it worked. I don't know. Basically, I'm just playing and getting lots of different abilities and skills, and it's really cool. It's not aged badly, as I say, but I will say that there are some modern conveniences the game could do with. I understand that people complain sometimes about maps hand-holding. This game does have a compass, but only in dungeons, not in towns, and sort of overworldy places that point you in the general right direction of where to go. But Grandia is a game, or was a game for its time, that showed the hell off with its graphics. Over-the-top boasting with its 3D, to the point where it gets in the way of the game a bit and can be disorienting. Because the game wants you to move the camera around constantly, because you've got these sort of sprite characters, but the environments are 3D. And if you're in a town, this is especially bad, because sometimes they put doors on different angles on houses just to screw with you, just to force you to move the camera around so that you go, look how 3D everything is. Look how 3D it is. The future is here. And at least for me, more than most games, I've always found myself getting disoriented by Grandia. Because I like to keep the camera in a fixed position so I know where everything is. But if you move it around in the map in towns, and the game will do it itself, if you go into a building and come back out, it'll decide for itself where the camera should be looking. And I get lost, even in fairly simple areas, just because I have to constantly change the camera to recenter myself, and then I work out where I'm going again. It's just not all that helpful. The focus on moving the camera around constantly, and it can get a little bit like, it can make me feel a bit queasy as well, because one area where it hasn't aged well is the camera itself is sometimes stuttery, and especially if you're going up things like steps. Like there's one particular area at the end of the world where there are lots of steps, and the camera just jitters and jolts as you move across it, and that just adds to the overall feeling of disorientation. You know, I was trying to think of a different word for it, but I'll just use the same word over and over again, because I've forgotten all my lovely thesaurus words. So that's a bit of an issue. It's basically the game, when the game delves a bit too much into tech demo territory, I find myself just a little bit put off by it. Just my sense of positioning in the world, and the fact that the camera is, jittery at times, and it's always moving. I've noticed when I'm playing it portable, it doesn't matter so much, but when I'm playing on my big, HD television screen, the camera constantly flowing and moving around battle, and the word flowing isn't that great because it's not like it moves with elegant fluidity, but you can see here in the battle, moving all the time and shaking as it does. It's a little bit off-putting. So I much prefer to play it portably where that issue just doesn't come up so much. But outside of that issue, Grandia is a great game. It's a type of game I play where for its time it was really unique, and even today it feels unique in a lot of ways. And you see a company like Square Enix constantly, out of some sort of self-consciousness it seems, try to reinvent the wheel with games like Final Fantasy, always trying to come up with some new battle system because it seems ashamed of its past battle systems. Like you look at what they're doing with the Final Fantasy VII remake and what they've done with every new subsequent Final Fantasy. It's always got to be new and different and slick and real-timey. And Grandia was doing this stuff so much more efficiently, so much better, and with so much more user control back in the 90s, in the late 90s. And it's a game that a company like Square Enix would do very well to take inspiration from, if not outright pilfer from. I really like the story too, the writing's fun, it's got a real innocence to it, you know, it's about going off on an adventure, and that really is the driving ambition of the protagonist, is to be an adventurer and to have fun doing it. And that's just something nice about that. Like, there is, you know, there's an antagonistic force, there are bad guys, there are stakes, but at the heart of it, it's just kids going on a trek, on a journey. And there's a simplicity to that I really like. And the characters are affable, they're nicely written, terribly voice acted in English, but this was the age where you would just get someone to read from a script, not even act. They would just come in and read from a script to the point where you wonder why they even bothered having voiceovers. I mean, the voiceover, when it does come up, it's not all the time, but when it does come up, it borderline ruins certain characters, and these days it's a level of acting, or rather a lack of acting, that would be completely unacceptable, but I'm nostalgic for it nonetheless. It's something that a more hands-on remake probably would have changed. If they'd have gone deeper into the remastering process, they may have totally switched out the English voice actors for completely new ones, but they didn't do that, because this is a fairly straightforward remaster, basically just an HD upgrade, and that's fine. Like I say, the game holds up really well. Kotaku did an article saying it's a really good game that could have done with a fast forward button, and I wouldn't have turned that down for certain areas, because there are some places where you're backtracking or wandering through nondescript corridors in maze-like dungeons, and the ability to speed things along at the press of a button, like with the modern Final Fantasy re-releases, that would be nice. But it's not something I need to enjoy the game, especially when I'm playing it portably and I can sort of idly play some of those areas while something's on the TV or the wireless or whatever. I'm really liking it, looking forward to beating it, looking forward to getting onto Grandia 2 at last, and yeah, it's one of those ones that I think a lot of people will enjoy if they've not played it before, but if they do like JRPGs, this is a look at one with a lot of heart, a lot of adorability to it. It's just a lot of fun. And you can't say fairer than that these days. These days you're lucky if a game is just offering some honest-to-goodness fun with no strings attached. So, yeah, thumbs up. Good stuff. Love Grandia. Happy I've played more than a handful of minutes of it now.